Let's take the plot of Godzilla -1, exactly as written, and swap the protagonist Koichi Shikishima for LeBron James.
LeBron James.
Scream if you love.
Godzilla!
Every scene stays the same. Every decision point stays the same. The only new variable is that a 6'9", 250-pound professional athlete born December 30th, 1984, running the sequence of events using nothing but his real career data pulled straight from Basketball Reference.
今度の戦いは死ぬための戦いじゃない。未来を生きるための戦いなんです。
You won't see anything from me tonight, unfortunately.
Would LeBron beat Godzilla is not a real question, because it has no measurable inputs and no way to check the work. Does this specific athlete with this specific body and this specific career record survive this specific 1945 to 1947 timeline is a real question, and it deserves a real answer. One honest problem needs to be logged before any of this works. Godzilla -1 runs from 1945 to 1947, and LeBron, as we all know, was not born until 1984. So essentially, the film is set 37 years BL, or before LeBron. But let's proceed anyways, on the standard genre assumption that the subject is airlifted into the timeline fully formed with this real-world stat line intact, and no memory of the 21st century, because that's the premise the question requires, and pretending otherwise would be just a different and less fun video. So first, let's start with the body. LeBron is listed at 6'9" and 250 pounds. 0 fighter cockpits in 1945 were built around Japanese pilots, averaging closer to 5'6" and 130 pounds, with canopy clearance measured in single inches. Godzilla never has to touch him for the first hurdle to become fatal. Getting LeBron into the cockpit at all means his knees are pressed against the instrument panel. His shoulders are far too wide and his head would be against the canopy glass before the engine even turns over. Any scene depending on fluid motion inside that cockpit has to be reconsidered around a pilot who barely fits the plane. So the first real test in the film is the freeze. Tachibana orders Shikishima to fire the cockpit gun at Godzilla on Odo Island, and Shikishima locks up, unable to pull the trigger while the monster is standing directly in front of him. LeBron's actual resume runs 22 All-Star selections, 4 championships, and 4 Finals MVPs across 23 seasons of being handed the ball with the game on the line. A player with that volume of high-leverage possessions has had hesitation trained out of him through pure repetition. So, in short, the freeze doesn't happen to this version of the character. A jump shot under playoff pressure and a wartime cockpit gun are 2 different skills wearing the same word. Trigger. A jump shot is a rehearsed, self-paced release against a rim that has not moved an inch in 100 years. A cockpit gun aimed at a ferocious dinosaur closing the distance in real time is a reactive skill against an unpredictable target, and nothing in 23 years of box scores measures that specific reaction chain. Credit LeBron the Composure, leave the mechanical execution unscored, because there's no honest data for it. Once Godzilla engages, he kills the panicked mechanics with his jaws, his feet, and his tail in under 2 minutes, and Shikishima only survives by chance.
LeBron James
has logged 1,622 regular season games across 23 seasons at 37.6 minutes a night, one of the most durable bodies the sport has tracked in its modern era. That durability measures a body's ability to absorb 2 decades of screens, box outs, and hard fouls. It does not measure absorbing a direct hit from a creature that just leveled a giant steel guard tower and an airplane directly at you. He's tougher than almost anyone alive by basketball standards, and basketball standards have nothing to say about this specific Godzilla-sized hazard. Akiko complicates every stat sheet because raising a child with no biological connection to you is not a skill that Basketball Reference tracks, and the only real filmed record of LeBron being a parent who isn't following the path that he originally won for them is in the film Space Jam: A New Legacy. In that film, Dom would rather build video games than play basketball, and LeBron spends the first 2 acts trying to correct that, pushing his own version of what the kid should become before he ever asks what the kid actually wants. Shikishima runs into the exact same arc with Akiko. He refuses the word father when she uses it, insists the situation is temporary, and needs the better part of 2 years before he lets himself actually act like her parent.
Akiko. 言ったろ? 俺はお前の父ちゃんじゃないぞ。Shikishima. それはまずいんじゃないか。実に不健全だ。
The Space Jam record is the closest thing to a control group available here, and it says LeBron gets there eventually too, just slower than you'd expect from a 4-time champion. The other real film data point is Trainwreck, where LeBron plays a version of himself defined almost entirely by refusing to pick up a check, splitting bills down to exact percentages, and treating a rich friend's money like it belongs to both of them. Shikishima takes the minesweeping job specifically because it pays well enough to keep Noriko and Akiko fed, at real risk to his life, which only makes sense as a decision for someone who has already run the math on every other option and found them lacking.
船には戦闘機乗りでしたので。なんだよ。こいつ使い物になるのか?
LeBron, as shown in the film Trainwreck, has been doing that math his entire adult life. He is not a reckless spender being pushed into danger by desperation. He is a careful person who takes a very dangerous, well-paying job with his eyes wide open because he has already priced out every safer alternative and ruled it out on the numbers. The Minesweeper section is where the numbers finally do useful work. Shikishima turns out to be an unusually good shot once he's handled the machine gun, and this maps directly onto data LeBron actually has. A career .507 field goal percentage and a .737 free throw percentage built across roughly 20,000 attempts is a documented record of hand-eye coordination and repeatable mechanics holding up under fatigue. Add 7.4 career assists a game, a running record of tracking multiple moving targets in 3-dimensional space, and delivering a projectile to the correct one under a shot clock, and the case gets genuinely strong. Putting rounds into a floating mine cable from a rocking wooden deck is a task this specific set of skills were built for. But the timeline works against him. The minesweeping job runs for close to 2 years of steady sea duty with no rotation. The stat sheet shows him playing 79 games at age 22 and 76 at age 23, a workload a young, healthy version of this body handles without complaint. It also shows 70 games at age 40 and 60 games at age 41, product of a deliberate and well-documented load management approach that has extended his career this far by giving the body scheduled rest. But a 1947 wartime minesweeping crew doesn't run a load management program. The 23-year-old survives the machine gun grind easily. The 41-year-old built around and managed 33.2 minutes a night is carrying a body optimized for a different kind of workload entirely. Ginza is the hardest scene for LeBron. Once Godzilla's dorsal fins start glowing in front of the tanks, everyone in range needs a burst of raw sprint speed to clear the blast radius before he fires. And sprint speed is the one thing this stat sheet never records directly. But what it does record is 23 years of listed positions, and the shift across them says plenty. He came into the league as a shooting guard from 2003 to 2004, and then spent his prime at small forward. And by 2021 to 2022, was being listed at center, a move that tracks with the loss of the first step burst that used to get him past defenders on the open floor. The version of him standing in Ginza by 1946 is, by any honest reading of this record, the older and slower one, and the one scene where a faster first step is the entire game. The ending asks for something this record argues against. Shikishima flies a plane loaded with 2 bombs directly at Godzilla's mouth with no ejector seat anyone fully trusts, closing a redemption arc built around a man proving he can finish what he started. LeBron's public record over the last decade centers on recovery routines, sleep tracking, and a documented drop from 79 games a season down to 60, all built around stretching a career out as long as possible. A single irreversible mission built on personal sacrifice sits outside that whole pattern. Tachibana's actual order in the film is the detail that saves him. He doesn't tell Shikishima to die for Godzilla, he tells him to live. And Shikishima's entire arc from that point is built around proving he can follow that specific instruction, which is why the plane's ejector seat, the one detail everyone forgets from the finale, matters as much as the bombs do. LeBron's career, which was built on 23 years of protecting the body for the next game, the next season, the next chance, is a career that ejects. It's the single closest match between LeBron's real documented instincts and the actual mechanics of the scene, once you look past the kamikaze angle. Run the sequence honestly, and the verdict lands close to the film's actual ending. I mean, sure, LeBron wouldn't fit inside the fighter jet, but it doesn't matter. He has real shooting mechanics for the machine gun scenes, hand-eye coordination built across nearly 20,000 field goal attempts. He does not have the sprint speed Ginza requires at age 41 because nothing in a 23-year positional record suggests the first step he had at 23 is still there. But he does have the one instinct the ending is actually testing. Tachibana's order was to live. Getting out of that cockpit alive is exactly the kind of decision that a 23-year, 1,622 game career has trained him to make every single time. The finale works because the mission was never actually about proving Shikishima could die well. It was about proving he could choose to live once given the chance. Hand LeBron James that exact same choice in that exact same cockpit, and 23 years of documented decision-making says he pulls the ejector handle and lands. Thus, to answer the question of the video, could LeBron survive the events of Godzilla -1? I would have to say yes.
Hey! Come on, man! That's too easy!
And with all that out of the way, I'm Cole McCormick, you're watching Firewood Media. This is just a joke video, a complete shitpost that I came up with while I was at work, and I just couldn't stop thinking about how stupid it would be to make something like this. So if you like this one-off shitpost video, consider subscribing or becoming a member to support the channel, just like these lovely people that are up on screen right now. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Peace out.